and welcome. How you doing, guys? I hope you're well. My name's Steve Beckles of S.P.E.A.K, the speaker with the orange tie. And guys, welcome to the Orange Room. I hope you're all well. It's been a very challenging time, which I really understanding a lot of things are going on, and I think with every positive thing we can kind of bring into the mix, I think it's got to make a massive difference. And you know, we're going to be talking about communication today, but I just think it's so important we kind of pull together, because I think it's a challenging time for all of us. But anyway, those that don't know anything about me, I'm a motivational speaker. I also teach soft skills training as well. But I go to schools, colleges and universities and companies around the UK, Europe and in the States. I talk about belief systems. I just believe that beliefs are everything. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you wear is all based on belief systems. So for me as a speaker, if I can get you to shift your belief systems to make them a positive thing, the outcome then is obviously going to be a good one. So that's my thing. So what are these all about now? I've been doing these for such a long time now, and I've been loving it. Absolutely loving it, and the connections I've been getting doing it has just been an absolute joy. But you would have noticed on my video, as I always do, I always have a strap line, and I have a prop as well. And the strap line is as follows. When you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So think before you speak. Now, I'm a speaker. That's what I do. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And I thought in the week, do you know what? It's now time, I think, to talk about communication and the power of communication, and a little bit about presentation skills, but not so much for the people that are on the stage and coaches, although that would be useful, I think, some of these tips. This is for those people that perhaps are struggling now, because communication has changed since March, hasn't it? Yeah, everything has changed. There's a lady called Lynn D. Eldridge. She's got a business called Happiness Jungle. She's the CEO of that. Google her. But I was on her show about 2 weeks ago, and she said there's one thing good about this whole kind of coronavirus thing. And she explained to me is that whenever you communicate with someone, you now look in their eyes, because there's nowhere to look anyway. Do you see what I mean? Whereas before, when the mask was down, you were obviously looking at facial features or whatever. So it does have its disadvantages, but its advantages is that you've got to look in their eyes. And what's that saying? When you look into a person's eyes, you can see how they really feel. So I think, as Lynn D was saying, that communication has shifted, not necessarily to the negative. So it's very important to bear that in mind. Now, the key word is speak. S.P.E.A.K. Now, you know I love my acronyms. So what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be giving you some tips and techniques to improve your communication, not just your speaking. I'm a speaker and I teach presentation skills, and I've been having an amazing time doing it, especially before the lockdown. So this is what I do. This is my food and drink. I love doing this, yeah? But what I'm going to try to do is to get you to communicate more effectively in everyday life. And nowadays it's moved and shifted, so hopefully I can help you. So let's get this show on the road. First of all, it's very important. There's a guy called Dr. Albert Mehibaham. I think I pronounced it correctly. He was born in Iran, and he did a study that when two people are facing each other, there is words, tone and body language. Okay, so when one person is talking to the other, words, tone and body language is being relayed. Okay, now for those that have heard this before, it's probably nothing new. However, when two people are talking to each other, words, tone and body language are being used. Now, the actual percentage of actual words that are effective in a conversation between two people, he worked out to be 7%. Let me say that again, 7%. 7% of what you say is actually relevant in a conversation between two people. Now, you might think that's a tiny amount, but you think about it. How many times you had a conversation with someone and you know they're lying? Even though they've said to you, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Because what you're doing, you're listening to the tonality, and most of all, you're looking at their body language. So what comes out their mouth actually is irrelevant, because it's your body language. I always say your body language is like the truck, yeah? And your words are like the bricks. and the bricks are carried by the body language. So it doesn't matter how well I say something. I think you're looking at my body language. I read somewhere that people do not watch TV, they listen to it. Let me say that again. People do not watch TV, they listen to it. They watch body language, because body language carries the words. Tonality, all right, so 7% is words. Tonality, he said, was 38%. The way you vary your tone can often influence someone taking action. How many times your mum called you and you knew you were in trouble when you were younger? Of course, it's tonality. Okay, so that's 38%. And the last one, of course, is body language, which is 55%. Now, I have heard this questioned and disagreed with by loads of people, and there's loads of studies. I'm not really interested. I'm just telling you what I've found, that words, 7%. Now, they do have their value. I think it was President Kennedy said that Winston Churchill had the ability to take the English language and send it into battle. Now, that's powerful. Yeah, and I think Elton John said of Lady Di, she lives her life like the candle in the wind. Now, you know, words like that you can't mess about with, do you know what I mean? They're just powerful. So words do have their place. However, it's your body language that really drives your message. So if your body language isn't giving off the message that you want to, you're going to be believed, whatever comes out your mouth just won't work. So what I'm going to try to do is to help you a little bit in your presentation and how you can present yourself. So let's first start with S, because we're talking about speak. And S is really, really important, because what S looks at is to seek first, understand before you can be understood. Stephen Covey, I remember once, I think I pronounced it incorrectly. I think it's Simon Covey about 2 months ago. But it's Stephen Covey once said that. Seek first to understand before you can be understood. How many times have you just want to get your point across without actually listening? Jim Rohn says a sign of a good speaker is that all of what he says is just the tip of the iceberg of what he actually knows. Does that make sense? So in other words, you listen so intensively that you know how to deal with the situation. And you don't have to give 101 words. Just a few words are enough. Why? Because you've listened. So seek first to understand before you can be understood. As a presenter, as a speaker, as a coach, I had my client yesterday morning. And he was telling me about fears, and we were going through fears. And I didn't say a word. I had a program for it, had everything. But what I did, I had to listen. I had to listen to what his particular issue was. And if I didn't, I would go, oh, I've got a great program for you, and I could have just delivered that program on Zoom. But I didn't. And I listened. And I realised that he didn't need that program, he needed something else. So you've heard me say before, listening builds trust. So to be a good communicator, seek first to understand before you can be understood. Listen, you know, I'll even say to you, shut up. Yeah, just listen. Don't say anything. And even when you want to speak, don't say anything. Listen. That's a good communicator. Very important. Okay. The next one is P, and this is something from Jim Rohn actually, is preparation on purpose. A good communicator prepares for when he's about to speak. And this is what Jim Rohn said. He said, you know, before you open your mouth, you need to have something good to say. How do you do that? Well, what you do, you gain knowledge, you read, you listen to ebooks, which I'm doing that all the time. And what it does, it builds up a wealth of knowledge. I don't know if you've heard of oversimplified. Yeah, just, if you make a note of that, oversimplified. And then type in any topic you're interested in, mainly historical. So World War I, World War II, and Napoleon, Neapolitan days, the Cuban crisis. What I'm saying is gleaning information, learning about what's happened makes you and gives you a person of higher value because you have a lot more to say. Okay, so reading, oversimplified, what's that saying? Leaders are readers and readers are leaders. So that's really, really important. The next one is to express rather than impress. When I'm teaching presentation skills, one of the things I'm often saying to people is don't go out to impress people. Now, that sounds weird because you think it's all about impress. No, it's not. It's not. What you need to do is express. Let me tell you the difference. To impress is to say, oh, I've got this, I've done this, I've been there. Or you can say, I learned this when I went here, and I think this might be useful for you. Do you see the difference? I'm expressing so you can gain from what I've learned, rather than impressing. Guys, just go on social media. You've got all those people trying to impress. Expressing is when perhaps they give a quote and a message, and where they got the message from. Because what you're doing, you're expressing and giving value to other people. Okay, very important. Next one. When you're speaking, aim for me toos rather than so whats. As I said, I teach presentation skills, and this is like just the tip of the iceberg, really. But I'm just giving you some ideas. So, me toos rather than so whats. Let me explain what I mean. When you are speaking, okay, not even a presentation. Forget presentations now. Even when you're speaking, a lot of people are delivering so whats. Let me give you an example. If I was to start my talk off, for example, and say, guys, just want to say thank you for being here. This reminds me when I was in Hawaii, and I had my 2 sports cars and my 3 houses in Hawaii. And, just the way I felt was just amazing. It's great to be in front of you. Now, people are sitting there thinking, so what? In other words, what value is that to me? If I said, I remember when I had nothing and I was really struggling, and I was in a job I disliked. I really disliked it. And I needed to get out. I got out of that job and I found something with purpose that I love doing. Can you see that as a me too? Can you see there will be people sitting there thinking, that's what I'm going through? Guys, have you noticed most speakers, majority of them, always have a story of when they had nothing? Because that is the me too point. Does that make sense? There's no point as a speaker starting off with your 2 cars in Hawaii and all the rest of it, because that's a so what. People can't relate to that. That gap is too massive. So to start with me toos, to relate with someone, to get someone to feel that I'm where you used to be, there's a connection. Now, it doesn't have to be a talk. It could be anything. So when you're having a conversation, relate to that person rather than say, oh, well, that never happened to me. Oh, it's fine. God, I was okay. That's a so what. If you do want to say that, start off from where they're at. What's that saying? Start from where they are before you take them to where you would like them to go. Yeah? So in any conversation that you want to join in, you say, yeah, that happened to me. Now, you might not be. You might be way above that situation, but the connection is when I feel that you're with me, and then I'm prepared to go with you. As I said, look at any speaker at all, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, all of them. If you look at their story, it always starts with a me too. So in other words, you can feel a connection. It could happen to you. The last one, guys, is kinesthetic connection is essential. Kinesthetic connection is essential. What do I mean? Kinesthetic, those are unaware what kinesthetic. Actually, let me start from the beginning. VAK. Visual, A, auditory, K, kinesthetic. Let's start with visual first. Visual learners. We are, I would say, 70, 80% of us are visual learners. We learn by seeing, okay? Then you have A, auditory. When I was at school, the teacher would come in, speak for an hour and a half, barely raise his head and then walk out the room. That's it, yeah? And then K is kinesthetic. My daughter, she's 7, wants to be doing, moving, doing, active, very kinesthetic, wants to be learning by moving. She's also quite visual. Why? Because of the games, okay? So let's take the K. Whenever you want to express yourself, now this is only my opinion how I deliver, but kinesthetic delivery often gives a connection so people can feel your emotion. Now, not always, because I know a lot of people are thinking, Steve, that's just not me. And if it isn't, fine. But I want you to bear in mind, there are 3 styles of connection. The visual, the auditory and kinesthetic. I think we all sit in one of those 3. Which is your strongest one? If you're speaking to a group of people, what do you think their strongest one is? If you're speaking to a group of 15, 16-year-olds, you better get visual. I'm going to Birmingham next Tuesday, and I've got my slides ready, and I've got my activities ready. Obviously, the 2 meter thing is going to apply, but does that make sense? You have to make sure that you're encompassing learning styles. Okay, so guys, that is STEP, and that is about how we can step and make our path clearer by looking at how we speak. So let's just do a quick recap. Seek first to understand before you can be understood. I should put in brackets, shut up. Yeah? So just listen to what they've got to say. P, preparation on purpose. Start reading, start learning something new, start going through stuff to add value to you. So when you open your mouth, as I stated there, you tell the world who you are. A, or E I should say, express rather than impress. So yeah, tell people about what you do, but give a message, give something that people can learn from, not for them to sit there and say, well, so what? Yeah. A, aim for me toos rather than so whats. This is really important because I will have no connection with you if you're talking about something that I clearly or I don't believe that I can achieve. So you have to start from there. Yeah. And the last one, guys, is that whole kinesthetic thing. If you're delivering and you're doing any form of delivery, if you can, try to encompass some movement in the way you do things, how you express yourself. Now remember, if you can't remember VAK, visual, auditory and kinesthetic, guys, that was S.P.E.A.K. Now, I just want to give out some massive thank yous. First of all, to Tony B. He's a DJ, got it written down here, from OSSR. A couple of nights, me, him and Dale were trying to sort out our chat room thing, because we're going to do a chat room for my Saturday show as a DJ Orange. So we're trying to sort it out. So Tony B, thank you. You are absolutely amazing. Big shout out for Graham Harris as well for sharing my videos. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate all of that. Another thank to Madeline Fiella. Listen, really good. If you look in my comment section, this is for the ladies. Right, she is an American lady. She's doing some amazing stuff around entrepreneurial projects for women. It's a free thing she told me about, and I thought, you know what, as soon as I come on, I'm going to be talking about that big time. And I cannot forget the last one, and most important of all, is this Monday, Ken Barnes. Those that know Ken Barnes might know him in the salsa field. I knew him before salsa. Big up for Ken Barnes. I'm actually going to be speaking on his podcast, and he's got his strapline here. I love it. Make health your habit. Now, I will guarantee that a lot of people there have put on a lot of weight because of what's going on and what is still going on. What Ken has done and what he's doing is just like amazing. When he asked me to go on his show, I thought straight away, because we're talking about habits. Yeah, and that's 6 p.m. tomorrow. I'll leave the link in my comments thing as well. Yeah, that's tomorrow. And he's the lean, first of all, Ken Barnes, if you type that in, Ken Barnes, yeah. And he's known as the Lean Body Coach. Lean Body Coach, you can find out more about it, but I'll put it in my comments as well. I just think people have to be recognised, and that's why I kind of did all of that stuff, because it's about recognising people's achievements. Because I just think we're in a time now of just trying to recognise that we're all together in this. And it is a challenge, isn't it? A massive challenge. And my friend of mine, he's still on furlough and he's really struggling. So it is about trying to get us all together, and all of these people have been amazing and very positive. So we're done and dusted. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you listening to this show. I hope you found it useful. DJ Orange is coming alive again. Not that I was dead in the first place, but I'm coming alive this Sunday between 2 and 4. I feel so blessed to be on the show, playing all of my stuff that I just love, Maxwell and all the rest of it. And I do this kind of stuff, like inspirational quotes and giving tips and techniques. So if you've got nothing to do on a Sunday, guys, even if you've got something to do on a Sunday, still listening. Guys, thank you so much. And I just want to end it like I normally do, guys. It's not about getting through this situation, but it's about getting from it. Guys, thank you so much and take care.